What's up, everyone? My name is Emmanuel Onaeko, and today we'll be discussing the roadmap for beginners in web development in 2021 with Benjamin Olapade. Today, a lot of us have the great dream of becoming developers. A lot of us have the dream of developing a software that will be highly used in different fields. We had those great dreams, but a lot of us lost those dreams because of procrastination. And some of us lost those dreams because we couldn't explore our creativity. A lot of us dropped our dream just because of imposter syndrome. And many of this has been a limitation on people becoming developers. And in this video today, we will be discussing exactly what we need to do as developers to become a great developer in 2021. And joining me today, it's Benjamin Olapade. That sounds good. Let's go right in. So Benjamin, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing? I hope you're feeling.
I'm doing great today. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, that's true. I can see that. That's good. So the first question goes thus: what should beginners learn towards becoming a developer? What should they learn towards becoming a developer?
Becoming a web developer. Okay, like obviously everyone should know that that is web development. A beginner needs to learn web development. But then let me just break it down. Like any other skill, of course, the the individual has to start from the basics. Because web development, there are a lot of things at the basic that you need along the way, even when you are able to call yourself a professional. It's not just I can just start from the middle and go towards and go ahead. Of course, you need to start from the basics. So what a beginner needs to learn is the a beginner needs to start with programming with languages, probably like something like HTML, which is a markup language. Then move on to styling. Then move on to programming languages. Then on, the individual can move on to frameworks, working with frameworks like Bootstrap and all those kind of things. So it's actually a process of personal development that the beginner has to go towards to learn to become a web developer. So those things that he needs to learn are, like I said, the languages, the styles, frameworks, and then you need the person has to gather experience before the individual can call himself a web developer.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. You're very right in that. The second question goes thus, man. What are the trends of 2021 web development, and how much should we care about them as beginners? So a lot of times we have a lot of trends moving in development. And what are these trends that we would see in 2021, and how much should we beginners care about them? Benjamin.
Okay, trends. Okay, we're actually talking about beginners, you're right. So when you're talking about trends with beginners, I'd rather say that okay, there are trends, of course, but because web development is something that is evolving. I mean, it is changing. In fact, the whole programming in general changes like every year. New things are added to programming languages, new versions of programming language are released. Like so it's everything's are changing fast. But yes, as a beginner, it is not so right to look at the trends. Now, for what I mean is this, like you're just starting out, learn it, learn the basics to where the trends begin. Then at that level is when you stop calling yourself a beginner because for like that level is when you stop calling yourself a beginner where the trends begin. So you can learn HTML. Of course, HTML is very outdated. CSS you can learn. You can decide to start with React, or you can decide to do JavaScript or something like that. Then it's just as you go forward, then when you reach a part where you can where you can develop websites by yourself, then at that point in time, you start looking forward. That's when you stop calling yourself a beginner, when you can say, okay, I can do this thing very well, but then now let me start following the trends that are going on. So let's not talk about what are the trends. Let's more like talk about what are the trends that concern the beginner in this aspect, because the trends do not concern the beginner. I mean, like, as a beginner, you should just know the basics first. Then at that point, when you stop being a beginner, is when you start hmm, and start realizing that okay, trends are important. But at this point, at the beginner level, it is just okay to just learn the basics first, and then after learning the basics, you move on with the trends.
Well, yeah, that's right. You said it right, Benjamin. For me, I feel as beginners we should care less about trends and focus more on the basis of what we are doing. And if we can handle the basics very well, definitely by the time when time goes on, we'll be able to be able to use the trends in a way that makes our application dynamics. But as a beginner, the first thing you should care about is learning the basics and not bothering yourself too much about the trends of the year. Thank you. Yeah, Benjamin, how to find the best learning path towards becoming a developer in 2021? I feel this question is a question that a lot of people will want to ask because a lot of people don't find the best learning path. A lot of them don't find the best things they can put in to learning to be able to have a fast learning experience. So Benjamin, how do we find the best learning path toward becoming a developer in 2021?
Okay, there are parts made out for everyone. Now, some people assimilate better watching videos. For example, I assimilate better watching videos, and some other people assimilate better reading books. Now, for example, it depends on what how it works. Now, it might not be videos, it might not be books. There might be other ways that you as an individual assimilate. So, how did you take it? How do you take it in? Which better way do you take it in? That's what you have to realize. So, if you're talking about parts, it is depending on the individual. It's not really a general question. But now I'm just going to tell you there are a lot of videos all around YouTube on web development, beginning, inside out, any way you want to learn it. And also there are books also, beginner books, like you can just check out Jamie Chan. Check out Jamie Chan. He writes books, a lot of books on programming languages and stuff. And if you check out his book on HTML, I mean on HTML and CSS and all those kind of stuff, you find it interesting and easy to understand. In a few hours or in a day or something, you finish it. So it is just very straightforward that way. I mean, sometimes I can pick up that book and I will understand. I'll pick up some things I couldn't pick up from the videos. But then I prefer videos better. Doesn't mean um I learned the wrong way or something. I can just go to YouTube, watch out videos, and also Google is there for us. I mean, there are a lot of times we are learning and we just want to, we just don't really know what we're doing. And then we can just consult Google. A lot of people have done a lot of things and they've showed it to the world, and Google just bring it out for us so we can learn perfectly.
Hmm. Yeah, rightly said. That's rightly said. As we heard what Benjamin just said, that is some of the things that we should put into consideration in choosing a learning path for us in becoming a developer. Have the we should always take our notes and okay, Benjamin, how you doing? What is imposter syndrome and how does it affect beginners and how can they overcome it and how can we overcome it?
Now, okay, imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where the individual is not able to internalize his or her accomplishment. Like, okay, let me break that down. For example, you see other people younger than you doing this programming stuff and they're doing it so bad, and you're like, okay, I don't think I'm even doing anything at all. Okay, you maybe you are developing websites already, but you just feel like you've not done enough or you've not even done anything at all. So that's just how imposter syndrome works. Now it happens to developers a lot of times now. For example, just what I stated, when you see people younger than you doing it better than you, or or when you are doing it or when you're debugging and it doesn't seem to be working out for you, because a lot of times when you're dealing with programming languages, you can have some kind of problems, and it will look like this thing it has it's confusing and it's scattered and all those kind of things. So at that point in time, someone can just sit down and be like, okay, this is the end of it. So as beginners, it happens a lot. Now, what can a beginner or someone eat with imposter syndrome do? Now, it is okay sometimes to just step away from your workplace. I mean, when you're working, you keep working and working and working, and it's all in your head. It's sometimes it's just okay to move away, to step back, to see the world, to probably just listen to music, do some things you love, do some hobby, perform, do some things. So it's okay to step away from your laptop sometimes, or your phone, or whatever you're using, or your books, or something. So at that point in time, you just relax, just enjoy. And I feel like it is things work better that way. So one thing is move away from your workspace. Don't always be around your workspace all the time. Now, a lot of people have done it, and they all had to start somewhere. You also have to remember that they all had to start somewhere. It didn't just happen that um someone just built $1 billion application. They started somewhere. They started with the basics too. So you can't avoid that. It is a gradual step. You have to move forward little by little. Okay, so that's it. Okay, let me add this one too. It's more like sometimes okay, people have this general idea that developers, programmers, and those people they don't we don't hang out and all those kind of stuff. We don't move out, we don't go out. We're just people that like staying indoor, staring at our screen all day. Okay, if you start web development or programming, you don't have to keep that in mind and make it you. It is just a lie. It is just a falsehood. So you should go out. You should still hang out with your friends. You should still move around. It's just a joke thing that people just make up. So I mean, I have a lot of friends and we hang out. We do things. You can't just sit down inside there and say you are programming all day and doing nothing. I mean, of course you're doing something, but you can't sit down all day and expect your psychological well-being to just be straight. You just have to go out too, and you don't have to put that thing of okay, I'm a programmer. I'm a loner. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Exactly. That's true. Imposter syndrome is, this kind of, well, I say mentality or ability. I don't know. It's, when you're lost in this place of feeling less of yourself, and this affects a lot of beginners, and a lot of them feel, ah, man, I've not learned so much. I just learned the basics of JavaScript. What can I do with that? And things like that. So with what Benjamin has said, you shouldn't allow the discouragement that comes with imposter syndrome to affect you. Rather, you should overcome them and feel great of yourself all the time. Yeah, you're right, Benjamin. What challenges do web developers face during their learning period as beginners, and how to tackle them?
Okay. Aside personal problems, there are a lot of challenges that web developers or beginners, in fact, every web developer, in every aspect, whether professional, whatever aspect you are, you face challenges. Now, there's sometimes that you are doing something and you're doing it the right way, of course, the way you think is right, and there's just a problem somewhere that you can't just get your hands on, and you probably Google some things and brings out the way you've been doing it before, and you're like, okay, what is wrong? Of course, we have problem with debugging. That we'll call it. So it is sometimes it's frustrating, and as I said earlier, you just have to step away from your workspace, think clear, stand clear, do other things, and also aside personal problems like probably okay, not everybody has parents that will allow you to sit at your screen all day and stare and do all these kind of things. Okay, that's personal problems. For example, your of parents and all these kind of things. So people face different problems, different things, and the basic thing is that you just have to know that you're going to go through different challenges. Just never give up. Hold the line. It's just that everybody had to go through one thing or the other when before they got up there. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever, they had to go through a lot before they actually got there. So you just have to not give up and just hold fast.
Yeah, that's rightly said. That's true. That's true. A lot of us face a lot of challenges when we're learning. A lot of us face challenges when we are working with people. A lot of us face challenges if we are building an application, and a lot of these things we just have to tackle our own ways, as Benjamin has said. Hopefully, you're gonna meet a lot of challenges as you go on becoming a web developer in 2021, and hopefully, you will know the best way to tackle them. But one thing you should always keep in mind is never give up. Yeah, Benjamin, why are developers group necessary for developers? If you know developers group is necessary for developers.
Now, developers groups are very important for beginners and everybody in web development. I mean, a lot of us, we can't stand alone. We can't do what we do alone and expect that we just move forward. That's not how it works. Now we have the in universities, in schools, in communities we have DGD, that's developers groups and all those kind of things. And in school we have DSC, developer student clubs. We have, and they help teach watch they help teach programming, they help teach development, web development, and all those kind of things. But aside those, outside them, we have many groups, personal, I mean, private companies. Let me not call them company, let me call them organizations that help developers. They are just a group of developers that are helping themselves. Now, aside teaching themselves, they are motivating themselves. They are guiding themselves. So it's just like that. You can, as a developer, you can't stand alone. That's why we kind of have groups. There are groups, a lot of developer groups, and you can join as many as you want. Just that it's okay to it's important that you be committed to what you are doing. So if you know you can't do a lot due to your schedule or whatever, you just don't join a lot. But join the ones that are important that you know are going to help you move forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. When you're learning group, it's much easier to catch up and do and catch up and learn faster, learn a lot in when you're learning in groups. So it's quite good that if you're aspiring to become a developer in 2021, it's very good that you join developers groups so that this facilitates the way you learn and helps you build things fast. Yeah, man, this question is like the question of the night because a lot of us, we see our mates building applications or probably building software using some applications that don't require us to code. And what are the advantages? What advantages do web developers who learn to code using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript have over others that develop using other software that doesn't require coding?
Now, of course, we've been talking about web development since, and it's like we've been talking about developing with program, with codes. So, what about those people that don't do that? What about those people that use WordPress, that use Wix, and all those kind of other website and applications that help develop websites? What should we say about them? Actually, what I think is that it's I don't think any of them is bad. It's cool that people use it, makes it easier. There are other advantages to it, to both sides. But the what you have over those people using Wix and WordPress and all those kind of websites to develop their own websites is that you become a deep um you become a deep professional. I mean, like a someone that understands the basic, the underneath, the background of how these websites are made. Now, the of course, Wix, WordPress is just dragging and dropping and all those kind of things. But then using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or Bootstrap or whatever, you are able to build it. You're able to understand the codes that build up those ones that are actually using WordPress. So even though it is more complex than that, in fact, it can be a stepping stone into deep programming, into um, other high programming courses and all those kind of things. You learning web development can be just a stepping stone to that. But of course, knowing the background, having that background, something is understanding each part of those WordPress sites, those Wix sites, understanding it better than those people that are just building it by dragging and dropping.
Oh, yes, yes. Rightly said, Benjamin. That's true. For me, I feel if you learn to code using the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the best thing is that it helps you, it makes you versatile and flexible. Um, Most times you won't only end up as a web developer. You might want to go into software development, trying to learn a language, and this is going to really help you if you learn to code and learning to use other software to develop. Although those that use other software to develop, they're also doing a great job. So Benjamin, yeah, how do developers set smart goals in 2021? How do we set smart goals as developers in 2021?
Okay, setting smart goals as a developer is like setting smart goals as any other skill person. It's just that you need to first things you put down, jot down what you want to become. You remind yourself what you want to do. I mean, you remind yourself every time you tell yourself, okay, this is, you probably put it somewhere and you work towards your goals. It's not, it's just like becoming, like setting smart goals for any other skill, any other skill person or whatever. It's just that as a developer, you might just face a lot of different challenges from anybody, maybe probably learning graphic design or any other thing like that. So it is quite different a little in that the challenges you face. But setting smart goals is just a general question, like setting smart goals.
Oh, well, a lot of us try to find we brainstorm on finding the project we should do to showcase our skills. We find we have a lot of problems in the project we choose, the ones that are easy, the ones that are hard. Well, Benjamin, what do you feel? What are the projects that every developer should do to showcase their skill?
Okay, I've actually said this one before that when you are okay, right in the beginning, I said something about duplicating websites. For example, like you look for complex websites, probably duplicates their pages. You can duplicate GitHub. You can look for different complex websites, duplicate, create them in your own way, recreate them, then display them, create your own portfolio website where you can display them to show what you have been able to do, all these projects you have done. So it's a very nice way of picking projects. Is just quite simple like that. Like duplicate website. You can start from something simple like Prisonomics. Prisonomics is very simple. You can just check prisonomics.com. It's a very simple website, and then you can move on to complex ones. There are a lot of complex ones. You can look at, okay, let me see, I think charitylove.com or something like that. There are a lot of complex websites that when you look at, they are very beautiful but complex. Then you can move on to that, see what you can do on them, have people talk about them, showcase it to people, and have people talk about them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's rightly said. So thank you very much, people. Thank you very much, people. Thank you for joining us on this lovely experience discussion with Benjamin Olapade. It's been an awesome experience. You've learned a lot on how to become a developer in 2021. And hopefully the next time you'll be watching me, I know you already start learning something great. You already start developing applications that is going to be helpful for the world. Join me next time, same time. God bless.